Zoning Board of Appeals. Want to let everyone know the board does not write the zoning ordinance, but does have the authority to grant relief from where practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship would result. The board will vote on each agenda item following a public hearing. Use variance requests require a minimum of 6 affirmative votes in order to grant the requested variances. Non-use variance requests require a minimum of 5 affirmative votes in order to grant the variances. Please note that any order of the board is valid for a period of 1 year. If you'd like to request that the board table or adjourn your case due to the absence of a full board, you must inform the chairperson immediately after the public hearing. Currently, we are down 1 board member, so there's only 8. Petitioners shall do their best to limit presentations to 10 minutes. Each participant in a public hearing shall do their best to limit comments to 3 minutes. Alrighty. So as I stated, we're down 1 board member, but other than that, everyone else is here. Is there a motion to approve or amend the minutes of January 11th, 2024? Don't all jump it. Mr. Platt.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Mr. Wolf seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. There's no unfinished business, so we'll move on to the new business, case number 24-02-03. Whenever you're ready, take it over.
Thank you. The subject site is an interior lot which is located directly on West 12 Mile Road, east of Woodward Avenue, and it is within the one-family residential zoning district. It does contain a single-family dwelling with a detached garage which is located at the rear of the parcel. Just as some background, back in November of 2023, the city's code enforcement responded to a complaint that the current property owner was conducting interior demolition work without any permits, and a stop work order was placed on the property for the work done without permits, and that is still in effect as of today. The petitioner has provided a narrative, which we did include in your packets, which describes his history and interaction with the property. And staff has noted in your report that the house was never initially constructed as a duplex, and the original building permit does describe it as a single-family residence. The city also has no record of the site ever obtaining any approvals in order to convert it into a duplex, and there was never any rental certificates filed with the city which show that the property was ever rented as a duplex. The previous property owner also did claim it to be 100% of his primary residence for certain tax purposes. So if it was a duplex, the previous property owner would have been unable to claim the full 100%. So with that being said, the property through the eyes of the city is still and continues to be a single-family dwelling, so it cannot be recognized as a pre-existing non-conforming land use. So as I mentioned initially, the property is located in the one-family residential zoning district, and duplexes are not permitted within that zoning district. So the petitioner is first seeking a use variance to allow for an existing single-family dwelling to be converted into a 2-family dwelling. Now, if the board chooses to grant the use variance, an additional non-use variance is also required, and staff did apply the standards which are set in the 2-family residential zoning district to the proposed. And the minimum required lot area for 2-family dwellings is 9,000 square feet. The subject parcel is only 6,750 square feet in area. So the petitioner is requesting to waive 2,250 square feet of the minimum required 9,000 square foot lot area for a 2-family dwelling. Of course, I would also encourage the board just always to consider both the use and non-use variance criteria in your decision-making process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Klatt.
Just a simple question. Alex, does the current or updated master plan call for anything other than single family in this area? On the street or in this immediate pocket?
Well, at this point, there has not been a concrete draft put forth of a future land use map at this time for the upcoming master plan. So I don't know if I can give definitive feedback one way or the other on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Once, twice, 3 times. Okay. If the petitioner's here, please come forward and present your case.
Good evening. Good evening. How's it going? My name's Amar Khan. This is Brandon, friend of mine. We bought this duplex together under the assumption that it was a duplex. I think we submitted the whatever realtor ad or whatever the advertisement for the house showing that it was listed as a duplex. It showed 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, 2 separate floor plans, separate from each other, one on top, one on the first floor. From what we gathered in our investigation was that it was already a duplex since 1976. That's what the previous owner told us. Her name is Ione Gernassis or something like that. I didn't talk to her directly because her lawyer advised her not to speak to us because she sold it as a duplex, so she didn't want to answer any questions. But her agent did contact us, and he sent us that lease that I just submitted to the board. That was a lease for the upper unit, which they had kicked the person out prior to selling it to me. So I think she said April they had left. She said that in 1976, her and her brother bought it, and she moved out in the 80s. Her brother did not get any rental permits after that. She claims that inspectors did come. I called the city today. They said they don't have records going past 94. So I don't know if that's whatever is going on there. I did FOIA the records for that house back from the permit to now, and I didn't see any rental permits in the city's records. But that was the previous owner's assumption. She stated that it was always a duplex when she moved in 76. The upstairs was rented already, and it's been rented since then, until recently when her brother died and she had to sell the house. When the city claims that they had no idea that it was a duplex, as soon as their code enforcement officer, Bill Sawyer, came, he asked me, the first thing he asked was, is this still a duplex? Also, he parked in the back, which is the driveway goes into the backyard. The entire backyard is covered with pavement. I don't know if you have the picture of that. So when we were looking at the house, it had 2 separate mailboxes in the front. It had 3 entrances, a distinct floor plan for up and down, a kitchen that looked very dated, that looked like it had been there for 50 years, both kitchens, sorry. And additionally, what would you do with a paved backyard, but parked cars, multiple cars? It's a very, very large paved backyard. The backyard was broken because a tree was going through it. We had to get that taken care of immediately because I was afraid the tree might, damage the house further. So that's why I had a new driveway poured. I'd called the city originally when I bought the house. They said there was no permit needed unless it was new construction. So I did end up taking off some of the plaster where it was leaking. There was a big leak there from the roof, as you can see in the pictures from when it was bought. When we started taking the plaster down, there was more and more problems in the wall. Then there was no insulation on the corner, so we started just ripping down the whole wall, seeing. So I think that's why the city thought that we were doing something without permits. I didn't realize we needed a permit to rip down drywall. Now apparently I know. I was thinking, when we put stuff in the wall like plumbing, electrical, that's when you need to go get a permit. So I submitted these plans that I had here. The city rejected them. They said, you need to go first, get a zoning change for a 2-family. We have no record. So then I FOIA'd the records. I told them to send me everything. They had no original floor plan of this house, but they did send me a permit. I don't know if they have a floor plan or not, or if it was lost, but I have no idea how the house looked like before I bought it. We bought it with the expectation that it looks the way it is. What we're requesting today is, like Alex had mentioned, the use and non-use variance and the lot size variance. But the main thing is we are not going to touch any of the character of the house from the outside. Aside from getting it painted, I haven't done anything else to the actual structure of the house. It will look exactly the same like every other house on the street. It will be unmolested, unchanged. If you look at the map that I just submitted here, which is your current plan, updated in '23, June of '23, it shows multiple duplexes and multifamily all over this street. Also, these are further away from commercial centers than this one, where you can see in the picture I sent, outside, standing on the driveway, you can see a gas station and one of the busiest intersections in the city, 12 Mile and Woodward. So I don't really see how it would be a nuisance or a problem for anybody around. I then went and asked 2 neighbors. Well, I asked 4 of them, but nobody else wanted to say anything. 2 of them said, we have no problem with that. We always thought it was a duplex too. Then I also sent that report that shows that particular street and area has 16,900 average cars a day go by it. A regular suburban street in a suburb area should be about 1,000 to 2,000 per day. So anyone that I feel like buys a house on that street is expecting a little bit of more noise, a little bit of, commercial properties around, mixed use. It won't be changing anything big in the area, in my opinion. Also, the main fact is we're not changing anything on the outside. It's exactly going to be the same as it always was. To stick with the integrity of the house. Now, I did call the building department. I said, if we don't get this variance today, what will be the next step? He said, you have to go upstairs, rip the kitchen out, and make it into whatever it was before. And I was like, I don't know what it was before. We don't know. So then I was thinking, he's like, you have to make it a single family. Take all the doors down that separate the units and make it a single family upstairs. So in my opinion, it would mean putting the dining room, kitchen, and living room into 3 other bedrooms, plus the 2 that are already there. That's 5 bedrooms upstairs, 2 downstairs, 7 bedrooms in a 2,000 square feet house. Seems very, awkward in my opinion. I don't think that would do any value for the neighborhood. I do think that this is a burden for us because we bought the house thinking, that we could put some money in it, make it look nice, live in it, and we wouldn't lose any money on it because it was such a good area. But I think that if it's going to be a 1-bedroom or a 1-family house, the value would definitely suffer. And I think that's all I have to say. Everything else I think I stated in my letter. I don't know if anybody read that, but that has all the... Do I have to... Did they have that in advance? Or? It's been attached. Oh, it's been attached. So these are the reasons that I think the non-use and use variance should be granted. When you say attached, does that mean they read it prior? Or is it read? Okay.
It's been added to their report.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Do you
have any questions?
Anyone have questions for the petitioner?
Just one question here. Are there 2 families on 12 Mile? Are those taxed as a 2-family flat, or were built as a 2-family flat?
They're zoned. The area is zoned. I don't know what's on it, but the area is zoned as that.
Thank you.
What my main point in showing that was that the street does have mixed use. It's not like, putting in the middle of a neighborhood where it's all single family and it's going to be an awkward layout for them.
But that was my question. Are they zoned for multifamily? The ones you highlighted here?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're zoned for multifamily. That is the map that the planning department sent me when I FOIA'd the planning records. I wanted to see, how it changed over the years. And from what I saw, it was always the mixed use and on that street, 12 Mile. I did notice that the original floor plan that they had here from 1940s has a similar zoning in that area. But I feel like the area must have probably changed since then a little bit. I'm not sure, I wasn't there, but from what I think, the way the population is in the area, it would be better to have a smaller, affordable unit if ever it was to be rented in the future. It would be better rather than having such a large but small in square foot house there. You know, I mean, sorry, large in rooms, or many rooms, but small square foot. You know what I'm saying? Like such a small layout with multiple rooms is not really anything I feel like anybody would want, you know? But 2 separate units, that would be much more marketable.
Other questions for the petitioner, Mr.
And you may have mentioned this, I just might have forgotten it and all the other information that I was listening to. When you were looking into purchasing the property, I know the agent listed it, I did see your listing or the listing that you put into your letter. Did you call and check with the city if it had been, you know, permitted or had a ability to be a duplex?
I didn't ask about the duplex, but I did ask about permits and taxes. If it was back tax, permits, or then any violations it had. There's nothing. Even though the place was in a lot of disrepair, as you can see from the pictures, it was probably even worse than that because these were taken earlier in the year.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Zukin.
Along the same lines, you had mentioned that you called the prior owner and she wouldn't talk to you. And because it was a duplex and she knew, you made it sound like she didn't want it.
She said she didn't know. She told her agent that she didn't know because when she bought it in '76, there was already someone living there, and the city never had said anything all these years. She now claims, on top of that, that her brother did get permits for rental in the '80s, but then stopped after she quit claim deeded to him. When he died, it went back to her, so that's when she sold it because she didn't want to take care of it.
Was that conversation before you bought it?
No, that was just now. This week I had it because I was trying to get her to write a letter to that friend, and she's like, "No, I can't do that because since I sold it to you as a duplex, my lawyer's like that may be liability, so I don't want him to say anything."
Okay, and I'll just mention to you, I have a niece who bought a duplex in Royal Oak and took out some walls and made it a single-family home and made a lot of money on it. So if we were to deny it, I don't think you'll be out of money. You'll have to put some money in, but...
I mean, I hope you don't deny it. I don't really see what the reason would be for... The area is very busy. The area is a very busy area.
Yeah,
you know, it's
I
not
know.
like someone buying it would want peace and quiet and, you know, retirement house. You know, they're looking... They have to kind of accept what the area is. And Woodward and 12 Mile is probably one of the busiest streets, I would say. I drive through there every day for work, so...
Any other questions for the petitioner? Mr. Wolf.
So why isn't the code case fixed? Why hasn't it been resolved?
The what, code case?
The code enforcement
Oh,
case.
because they wanted plans for a single family, and I just submitted the plans that what it already was.
So
What
if
the
I'm...
plans I submitted is exactly where the walls were.
So just to make sure I understand correctly, this is going to help resolve the code case?
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as you give it next week, I'll get a permit and we'll start doing it. Actually, there's 2 really important things that I'm kind of trying to rush for. Is you see 2 windows are broken, the front and the side. They wouldn't issue a permit for the window company to come open it until this was resolved. So that's one emergency. And then he's been negotiating with a basement company because apparently one wall foundation's off too. I think I submitted those quotes too for that. Those are the 2 important things I feel like to secure the house.
And is anybody living there right now?
No, you can't live there because the water's turned off. And the walls are not there too in the first floor.
That's been allowed, like the city knows that the water's been shut off and...
Well, the water was shut off actually for a different reason because the city was going around changing lead pipes.
Okay.
From so they came and they turned it off. I just never bothered to turn it back on because of the fact that, you know, the stop work order was there. They were like, if you do anything, then, you know, we're going to fine you. So I was like, let me just resolve this first. The only thing is I didn't realize it was going to take so long because he said in December you have to submit it for February, which kind of wasted, you know, a month of time where we could be putting things back in, like walls and wherever they were. Like I said earlier, we're only putting new walls where there were already walls before. We're not changing anything inside to make it bigger, smaller. Outside, every brick is staying the same, exactly where it was. I do think aside from what it was zoned as, it makes a pretty good duplex, just the way that it's separated. If you guys looked at the floor plan.
And again, you don't have to give me the full number, but approximately how much are you going to be putting into this house to fix it up?
I originally was a little naive, and I thought it would be close to like 120, but now with the basement issues, foundation issues, I had to get the driveway done. I think it would probably be close to 175.
And how much do you pay for the property?
320.
So you're looking at about $500,000 of investment.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can tell you, I'm not a realtor, I'm not a legal person, but I can tell you that if you were to sell that house after putting it all in, you probably would make your money back and then some. Again, not telling you what to do, but I am familiar enough with the area's kind of values that that's not completely out of the question.
But you're talking about now.
Again,
you never know where the economy will be in 6 months.
Right, and I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it. I'm just telling you based on other comps that I see in that area.
I mean, I'm sure somebody would buy it at some point, but is it as marketable as it would be as a duplex? That's my real question.
Any other questions for the petitioner? I got a quick one. Do you know for sure whether or not there's 2 water meters, 2 electric meters, 2 gas meters for the house, or if it's just one?
There was originally just one.
Okay.
There is, though, now 2 furnaces and 2 electrical panels.
Right, but the meters going to the house, is it still just one?
I believe for the electrical, there's 2 there. There's 2 there, but I think we only have service for 1 because it was being, walls were moved around. But I honestly, that didn't make much of a difference because I've seen old houses in Royal Oak and Ferndale, and a lot of the duplex that people are selling have only 1 meter for the water, electric, gas. They usually have a smaller unit up front. This was the first one I've seen with such a big unit on top.
Any other questions? All right, we're going to have public comment. Afterwards, I'll ask if you want us to proceed since we're down 1 member. At that time, you can decide whether to adjourn for 1 more month, hopefully get another board that's filled up, or we might have, again, 1 or 2 members missing, so can't guarantee anything. But I'll ask you at the end of public comment whether or not you want us to go and vote on it tonight or push off till next month.
How many people are missing, you said? 2
1.
Or 1?
But we need 6 affirmative votes for this to be granted as a use case. So just to let you know. And there's no guarantee that next month we'll have a full board. So that's also to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
I'll let you discuss that, think about it.
Yeah, let me talk.
Yep, no problem. We'll open up public comment. Anyone who'd like to come forward, please come forward, state your name and whatever you'd like to speak on this case.
Hi, my name is Madeline Ryland. I live on the next street from 12 Mile, and I'm really sorry that this was misrepresented to Mr. Khan, but we are zoned single family, and we do have regulations for 9,000 square foot. And we start making these variances, it's not going to be right for our neighborhood. It is busy. We don't want it even busier with more duplexes and more 2-family homes. It's a beautiful area, and I love the greenery and the parks. And we start making variances like this, it's going to change the character. And our little corner here is different than down the road. We are different right here. And that's the way I like it. It's zoned that way, the regulations are that way, and I want it to stay that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Hi, I'm Susan Smilnack, and I live on Vincetta, which is around the corner from the house in question. I feel bad for the people here that are asking for this variance to be, but I think that it's setting the wrong precedent. I really, that's probably the bulk of my comment. I don't want to see more duplexes in the area. I don't even know where. As you talk about them, I'm thinking that they're a little further down on 12 Mile, but the other side of the viaduct, but I'm not sure on that. This house, was misrepresented. It's an opportunity for the city to make a right, to change something that was wrong and to make it right. And I just have to tell you, you're going to make a ton of money on the house, no matter what you do with it. It's a great area. And larger single-family homes are what are needed in that area, in my opinion. And I am retired, and there is a lot of traffic, and it is our forever home. And so we are very vested in that neighborhood and that community all around the Shrine. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
I'm Steve Utrip. I live further away from that area, but in my neighborhood, they're tearing down all the small single-family homes that are affordable and putting up the big, huge 500,000, 700,000 houses. So I'm not opposed to duplexes in the city. My biggest thing is when they start tearing the smaller houses down and putting new ones up and destroying the physical character of the neighborhoods. Because my neighborhood is all $500,000 houses now. I got a $160,000 house. So it's very noticeable. So.
Anyone else?
Hi. I'm a resident of Royal Oak. I find it just a little interesting that this building has been a duplex this whole time, whether it was zoned or not, since at least the 70s. So nothing's really being changed except necessarily the owner, who in this case happens to be a person of color, and I just find that kind of interesting that there's like a big chaos now about it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before there was nothing for all these years, and nothing's really being changed because he's keeping the plans exactly the same as they have been for all these years. It's being used for the same purpose that it has for all these years too, and provided the evidence of that as well. And it being such a busy street, regardless, 16,000 cars a day, I don't really feel like that it's really going to be changing anything in the neighborhood in particular. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I come back?
Not yet. Public comment's still open. Is there anyone else left for public comment to speak? I will go once, going twice, 3 times. All right. Do you want us to proceed, or do you want us to hold off for a month?
I think, can I make a comment, or are we done?
No, people were just making comments. If anyone has an additional question, the board can ask you an additional question.
Oh, okay.
But is there any additional questions of the petitioner?
I was just going to point out the precedence of the issue. It was already for 50 years. How many duplexes are like
Do you want us to go forward or not?
Okay, yes, go on.
Okay, we'll bring it to this side. Discussion and/or motions. Mr. Reddy.
I'll just start off with discussion. I'm a little torn on this one. It seems to be different in a number of ways from the one that came up before us a few months ago. If the petitioner were coming to us trying to convert a house that was used as a single family to a duplex, I would have an issue with that because I don't think it would be necessary, but as it is, it seems like it has been in use as a duplex. The neighbors consider it a duplex and they don't have an issue, and there does seem to be a hardship in converting this floor plan from a 2-family to a single family. That seems to be the issue for me, is that there definitely seems to be a hardship in converting this to a single family. And like I said, if it were the other way around, I wouldn't be in favor. But, you know, I think in the area, it is, you know, quite traveled, and it's tough to see what the difference would be between a large one-family and a two-family here as far as pulling in and out of the driveway. But that's all I had. I'm just torn. I would like to hear what other people have to say.
Ms. Robinson?
I'm feeling torn on this one too, and it's very unfortunate that you went into this transaction thinking that it was a duplex. Value-wise, I am a real estate agent, I am a broker, and have been in the Royal Oak area for 35 years. To turn this into a single-family home would be a wonderful thing. I think the fact that you're saying it would have 7 bedrooms, I think you could put 2 bedrooms upstairs and a beautiful bathroom, and the price right now on that side of town, you know, seeing $300, $350 a square foot is not, it's common. You see that if the house is redone, it's not uncommon to see that. And investment-wise, what for a price that you put in, that $315 price is what my records show, is about $150 a square foot. So it seems to me there's a lot of leeway in that to do the things that you could do to make that into a single family. It worries me too to start changing the rules. The area is a beautiful area. It's very highly desirable in Royal Oak to start introducing duplexes into areas that are just single family. That's my opinion.
Ms. Zuki?
Everything that Mr. Reddy and that Nancy said, I agree with. And I'm further torn, though, because I live near Catalpa, and there are a lot of duplexes on Catalpa, and it's not affecting our values whatsoever where I live. And the fact that it's been used as a duplex, there's not going to be additional traffic that wasn't there before. But like they said, I have a problem because everything else is single family, and until the plan is changed to make it two-family residential, I don't know if we should make a move at this time.
Any other comments or motions? Mr. Wolf?
So I've got a lot of things that just kind of have come up to me as red flags, to be really honest. First and foremost, one of my best friends has a duplex that he bought not in Royal Oak, but in a different city here in Metro Detroit. And the amount of energy that he has had to go through with the city to make sure, including having 2 electric grids, 2 consumers' energy. I think water by his city is okay, but that's academic. And the amount of work he's had to do with the city to get that done, I think. So I understand. And the second thing that comes up to me is, again, I sympathize with the applicant if this was misled, but you know, I was once Ms. Zukin was talking, I did look at the zoning map, and that Catalpa area is zoned for, looks like zoned for duplexes based on this map. And, you know, if it's zoned single family, it really should be single family. Just because that was given to you, you are responsible, you, the applicant, whoever that is. I had to do the due diligence when I bought my house. It's the same thing. There was actually, I'll tell a story. At my house, there were permits that were not filed correctly, and I was the one responsible to close them out. So I think for me that those just really stand out. And I drove past this area the other day. I was going home. I actually went out of my way to go through that area, and I couldn't pick out the duplexes. I explicitly was looking for them, and I could not pick them out. So I don't know if that's a thing that helps the case or hurts the case, but I don't know. And again, maybe one of my colleagues here can kind of help me out here. I don't know if you can find the duplexes in a given area like that. I couldn't find it. I think I have an eye for that stuff. So I don't know. There's just a lot of things that come out to me that I don't think that this is the right call for this place, but that's just my 2 cents.
Comments, Mr. Cavan?
So, echoing many of the comments before, I'm very torn on this one. I've just been going through our variance standards and trying to make a decision on how I want to come down on this. And I'm just going to walk through and explain why I think I'm leaning to deny the variances as requested. So for the use variances, that the property could not be reasonably used for purposes permitted in the zone, I think it very clearly could be converted to a single-family home. It would be a substantial investment that this property owner was not planning on, but that's something that is feasible. But I could also see it being the other way, in that it would be quite a substantial hardship for them to convert the property. That's one that I was kind of waffling on. Appeal results from unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not in general neighborhood conditions. I think that one's a given. This house has been a duplex for 50 plus years. So that's a pretty unique circumstance. The variance would not alter the essential character of the area. Actually, I think that one would also go in the petitioner's favor because it already is a duplex. It's not going to change the character. It already is present and in that way, and has been for longer than I've been alive. The alleged hardship has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property. That also is true. The use will preserve a substantial property right possessed by other property owners in the same zone. That one I don't really know how I come down on. The fact that it has been a duplex, for the length of time that it has, doesn't really affect substantial property rights in any way that I can think of. All the other owners are able to use their property as it is currently set up and zoned, and it's really just an effect that would be on this property. And then regarding the non-use variances relating to the square footage, or to waive the square footage, chapter's restrictions unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose. I don't think that one goes in the petitioner's favor because they can still use it as a single-family residence. The variance would do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to the other property owners in the district, and a lesser relaxation would not give substantial relief to the owner of the property or be more consistent with justice to other owners. The first part of that, I think it would do substantial justice to the applicant. They clearly have been wronged. It's not a wrong that this board is necessarily set up to remedy. That would be a different action and a different forum. But in terms of doing justice to them, they thought they were buying a duplex, and granting them the variance would give them a duplex. But a lesser relaxation would not give substantial relief to the property owner or be more consistent with justice. It's clearly, obviously we heard many comments here today about objections to the variance. We have letters for objections to the variance, but we also have letters in support of the variance. So that one I could really see going either way. Plight of the landowner is due to unique circumstances of the property. Again, that's a given. It's been a duplex for 50 plus years, even though it was apparently not permitted by the city. And the alleged hardship was not created by any person presently having an interest in the property. That again is true. But with I think what it really comes down to me is that it can still be used as a single family residence. That is what it is zoned for. The fact that it was in unpermitted conversion to a duplex, apparently. I know that there was a claim that there was a possible permit at some point in the past, but we have no records of that. But I think for those reasons, that's why I'm coming down as wanting to deny this. As much as I don't want to, and as bad as I feel for the petitioner, I don't know that this is the right way to remedy that.
Okay. Mr. Clatt.
I say, thank you, Mr. Gavin. I agree with a lot of those points, and I agree with the diversity of housing stock. I live right in the general area, just off inside. I have multifamily duplexes in my neighborhood, single-family homes, but they're all zoned right. This is a case where I guess it arguably looks like a duplex, smells like a duplex, but it's not zoned as a duplex. And it's hard for me to give a pass to a developer. You got to do your homework up front. I mean, I own multifamily properties too, and you always got to check do your due diligence, check the zoning maps to make sure what you're buying is legally compliant. In this case, it's not, so it's tough to give it a pass. But unlike the case on Sylvan, that was smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. This is a bit unique. It's on 12 miles. So that's where my struggle comes into play. I see what the applicant's saying, but I also struggle with the fact that you got to do your homework. So I'd like to hear if there's any other comments here before we make any motions.
Well, the only comment I have before other comments is, and Mr. Klusny can correct me, because this is 6 requiring it, it's probably easier to first see if we can pass it, and then if it fails, then we go the opposite direction, because we only need to show that it can't pass it. So that would be my only suggestion, and you can confirm if I'm right on that thought process.
Yeah, I mean, it would be up to the board how you want to proceed.
Okay, so Mr.
Oh, just along those lines, if we pass the use variance, that it would affect Section A of the non-use variance, correct? Right. So I think that would make sense.
So is there any other comments or motions at this time? Mr. Gavin.
I'll move to deny the use variance as so that would be.
Well, I would suggest try and do the passing portion. If we see it passes, then.
Oh, okay. Then I'll move
because
to.
if we don't, I'll get the right.
That's fine. Then I will, for purposes of moving along, I will move to approve variance A.
Okay, is there a second?
Variance.
And just for the record, variance A. Just for the record, variance A is the use variance? Yes. Okay.
Mr. Reddy, seconds. Okay, Mr. Gavin, I know you spoke already, but go ahead. Anything else to add?
I do not have. I know I moved, but I will actually be voting no on this. But for the reasons I already stated.
Mr. Reddy.
Well, it was interesting. I was torn at first, but then hearing Mr. Gavin go through the list, I found myself being more convinced as he said them, because I think he was also convinced with many of these. So I'll go through them. Section A, that the property could not reasonably be used for the purpose permitted in the zone. And what I would just go by is the word reasonable there. It's going to take a lot of money and effort to make this a single-family house, so that's why I would say that it might be an unreasonable amount. Section B, the appeal results from unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not in general neighborhood conditions. I think we all agree that it's unique to the property. The walls are the way they are. C, that the use requested by the variance would not alter the essential character of the area. I think that's true. It's been in use as a duplex. The neighbors have said they think it's a duplex and they don't have any issues. And that section of 12 Mile has a lot of traffic. You would not be able to tell this was a duplex if you didn't know. So, and then section E, the use will preserve substantial property right possessed by other properties in the same zone. And what I would say to that is they're trying to live in and rent out a portion of their house, and that's a right that other people in the zone have. And they're just trying to repair the house at this point, which they can't even go forward with. So that's what I would say in support of Mr. Gavin's motion.
Other comments? Well, I am definitely torn on this one. I understand all your points. I actually know from the other, thinking of the other side of the table, of the hardship they have is seeing the two things, the 2 mailboxes there, seeing the real estate going, hey, it looks like a duplex, it's set up like a duplex. They didn't do the due diligence to know that the previous owner was, I'm guessing, not doing the taxes correctly, which is why possibly she wanted not to go on record as to saying about it, compared to other duplexes that have come before us in the past where the city has no records, but the previous owner said, hey, here's proof. I had this many years of taxes showing that it was there, and somehow the city just lost on books or whatnot. Unfortunately, there's none of that evidence. The city only has evidence of it being paid by the only owner, of being a single residence for that owner. You've got only 1 meter of everything going in there, maybe 2 separate now for the 2 furnaces, but usually duplexes have at least gas and energy, both have their own meters. I know the neighbor that I have next to me, you can't tell it's a duplex. He's had it for decades. He gets picked, the city comes frequently to go check, make sure it's still up to standard, and I'm in a single family residential. He had it there before they switched over and had it all single family. So we know that in the past stuff had changed. So while I don't deny that maybe it was a duplex in the past, when it got lapsed, that's when, unfortunately, the previous owner should have picked it back up at that time and not let it lapse. And the city at that time allowed it to coalesce, come back into the single-family zone. So that's where I feel bad for them, because here she was, if she was still using it as a duplex, she didn't do it legally, the previous owner. And this, unfortunately, for the petitioner, there's no proof now to help back them up that this has been along for that long, other than just one neighbor who said it is. So I'm very much torn, because I understand their plight, and I also understand trying to get all the 5 requirements here as a reason to grant it. So I'm torn. Mr. Clinton.
Yeah, I guess I'll just play devil's advocate too here, because I mentioned some of the negatives, but we're like with the 3041 Sylvan case, we're always concerned about precedent. And, like for example, would we take if the neighbor to, let's say, the west came in front of us next month and wanted to convert their single-family home to this as well, that had a track record of being a single-family home, would this board ever acknowledge that or even to consider that? Probably no. But there's been some case here, it looks like the applicant presented it, that this has been operating as a multifamily dwelling for a long time. I'm unaware of any complaints or any issues this has caused. So that's the only, the negative. And of course the proximity, it's on 12 Mile here, so there is some traffic in front of it, and it's very dissimilar to that Sylvan property that was in front of us months ago. That was right in the middle of a neighborhood that would have significantly impacted the character of that neighborhood, where this is much different and much unique. So from a precedent standpoint, again, we look at each case on individual merits, and I don't see this being a precedent-setting case here from converting single-family to multifamily due to the very unique circumstances here.
Mr. Gibb.
Just a follow-up on that, like you said, we consider each case on its merits. Our cases are not precedential. They don't actually control what we hold on later. So, it still obviously factors into my thinking, but yeah. So.
Mr. Wolf.
I'll actually disagree with all of you respectfully, and that's because I was not on the board at the time. However, I am a homeowner in Royal Oak. I know a lot of friends of mine who are homeowners, and it just because something was sold to you one way, you as the buyer are still responsible for doing your homework. Whether I'll be quite honest, again. The attorney here can correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds more like a civil issue more than like this obviously is our issue here, but what happened and what didn't happen, that's a civil issue that is beyond this board. I don't think personally that the character of this area would be served well by a duplex. When I think of the duplexes, I think of the area around Miss Zukin's area in Catalpa, where you see the duplexes, you can see where they come in and where they come out. I live off of 4th Street. I know where I see a lot of duplexes there. You can tell this is the duplex here, this is the duplex there. Even in the places where there are houses that were converted, I can tell right away that the door for Unit A is here and the door for Unit B is right here, and it's very clearly marked. So I will be voting against the motion. I don't, and also to go on with my colleague, Ms. Robinson, I agree with her saying that, that there is a lot of money to be made converting this as a single-family house. Whether or not they choose to demolish and rebuild, or they choose to do a full reno, that's obviously up to them, but there is a lot of money to be made.
One thing to let you know that, and you'll learn when you do your training, is that money cannot be involved with the thought process on this. Because there's no way you can guarantee they're going to make a profit, just like there's no way they can guarantee that profit, or anyone in the neighborhood can guarantee that their values are going to go down. It's all speculation, unless you have a time machine and you know for sure.
I for the record, do not have a time machine.
Okay.
But I appreciate that.
No problem.
And I definitely, again, whether or not the money part is, I can definitely see this as a single family house, though.
Understood. Thank you. Other comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Please signify by saying aye and raise your hand. And this is to approve the use variance to be a duplex. Signify by saying aye and raise your hand to approve. We need 6. Aye? Okay, that's 4. Opposed? Okay, the motion fails. So therefore, unfortunately, the use, it's not going to be granted the use for duplex. So then is there a motion to the opposite, where deny the motion? Someone, Mr. Gatt, just a clean
So
go,
moved.
right?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Wolf. All right. Any other discussion or move to vote? All those in favor of signifying denying the motion, please signify by saying aye and raise your hands. Aye.
You said denying the motion.
Oh, sorry.
Denying the variance.
The
So,
motion, yes.
Voting yes
Yes.
is to vote to deny.
Yes, a vote yes means to deny the variance.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of denying the variance, please raise your hand. Aye.
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 Okay. Against? Okay. It's still, it passes with the majority, which I believe is all that's needed to deny the use, correct? Because it didn't have enough to pass it, correct?
It's denied. There was not 6 votes in the affirmative to grant the use easement.
Okay. Alrighty, so unfortunately, that means that variance has not been granted, so there's no need for the other variance.
Make a motion on it. So
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yes?
Is it the same thing? A motion to approve first and then motion to deny?
No, we can just deny it.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to deny.
Okay, Mr. Wolf with the motion to deny, is there a second? Mr. Gavin, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of denying the second variance, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, unfortunately, I'm sorry, you can only hope that the master plan grants you that to be one of the multifamily areas in the future whenever it gets approved. But for right now, you can't have it as a duplex. I'm sorry.
Say something? Or is it done? Public comment at the end?
Public comment is at the end. Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
just want to say it's really funny that all the things I gave as evidence didn't convince the board to give this. I just think that it was on a main road, though.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm saying the main road still doesn't get duplex.
All right. Other business, I believe we have election of officers.
Yes, each February, the board is tasked with electing both the chair and the vice chair position, so I'll turn it over to the board to nominate and reappoint the 2 positions. My only reminder is just to make a motion and to both to nominate or renominate the chair and the vice chair, and just make sure you get a support on each motion as well.
Mr. Collette,
I'll make a motion to reappoint the chair and the vice chair.
for the record, for those who are new, it's I'm the chair and Rob's the vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Robinson. Okay, any discussion? Nope.
I was going to ask, do the 2 of you, would the 2 of you like to continue before?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
fine with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. We would have said no if we didn't.
Right, but
Until you did have a rough one time.
Well, yeah, but you betted, you opened it and you betted cleanup. So.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. That moves us on to general public comment. If anyone would like to come forward to make a comment, you are welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Anyone can make a comment.
Yeah, this is the time to do that, yeah.
My name is Jessie. I used to own property here, and I actually am an investor. And I was thinking about investing more here. I own properties in Pontiac, Birmingham. And I'd like to ask you guys a question. I don't see a whole lot of diversity on the board except for you, and I like you. And I'd like to ask you, what do you think that people living in duplexes do differently than people living in single-family homes that would impact the neighborhood so much? Because housing crisis is real. People can't afford to buy houses, single-family homes, young families in particular with little kids. So what do you think that people that rent or do duplexes or whatever do differently than people that, let's say, live on, Vincenta Boulevard, which is, might as well, it's pretty much Birminghamish, which is beautiful. So what do you think? I mean, Royal Oak used to be a place where people could go start out and like learn how to do things and be accepted for who they are and all those types of things. So I just have a question. What do you think people that live in duplexes do differently than what people do live in single homes?
Thank you. Unfortunately, this is just a comment session. It's not an answer or question, but we'll be glad to talk to you after everything's all over with, if those who would like to. Any other comments for the general public comments?
Hello. I do really appreciate everyone's thoughtful comments and questions. I'm a little disappointed on the focus on money and trying to guess as to how much money we're going to make on a piece of property. I thought when I was going through and reading the criteria, I didn't see that. So a little disappointed in that. The conversion back to a single family house is going to take a lot of money. It's not what I would consider reasonable when there's a remedy to grant hardship relief. So that part of it's very unfortunate. There's going to be a lot more work to do that than to just keep it the way it was. I mean, you can see there's 2 mailboxes, 2 entrances, 2 kitchens. So I can appreciate that this is a nuanced topic with a lot of different criteria. A little disappointed on how it was thoughtfully played out. But, you know, we'll have to just go through with it, and hopefully it will not be a money loser for us. But those are my only comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments for public comment?
Yeah, I want to say something. I just want to say that, you know, this is way different than the other one, a lot different, that came in front of you. It's on 12 Mile, a main street. I really don't understand what the problem was. It was already a duplex. Now you want me to, what, rip out the driveway in the back? That was $20,000 to make it a single family. I mean, you may want to live in a 2,000 square feet single family on this main road, but that's not everybody's dream, and it's going to take a lot of money to put that back into. I mean, like a suggestion came from this side that 2 bedrooms upstairs. I really don't know. If you could submit a floor plan to me, I would like that, because from what I see, it's all original walls upstairs, and it was an open floor plan like that. I mean, there's even curved. You saw the entrance to the dining room is curved. Do you want me to like put a door there now? You know, like I feel like it's very unreasonable in the layout, and I don't think enough people gave that any thought when saying that just turn it back into a single family. Also, it is in a road where there's so much traffic, 16,000 cars a day. I mean, I don't really see how a duplex would really affect that. But I know the city has a plan, you can't deviate from it. I just think that the plan made in 1941, the community has changed since then. The needs of the communities have changed since then. It's unfortunate that the board does not see it that way, because it would have been saved us much of a headache if you guys did approve it. But we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Any other comments for public comment? All right, going once, going twice. All right, 3 times. Public comment is closed. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I don't have a motion, but I would just, you know, if we're still on and it's still recording, I would just encourage people, we don't write the zoning ordinance, as we say at the beginning of our meetings, and we have a strict set of criteria that are in the agenda. So that's what we make our decisions based on. And I would just encourage petitioners petitioners in the future to gear their arguments toward those fixed criteria that are in the agenda.
And I just also want to say, as an urban planner, as my day job as an urban planner, I have written zoning ordinances in the past, and I have written a master plan, and that goes through a very long and detailed process to get it updated. So if and when the city goes through their master plan update, which I believe they are, but yeah, I would highly encourage anybody who's interested to go to the public meetings, go to the charrettes, talk to the planning consultants, talk to your city. That's the way to get it changed, or, whatever it is based on the public comment, having been on both the receiving end of comments and on the city side in different jurisdictions. So that it happens all the time. It's required by state law. So if you're interested in that process, definitely go to those public meetings.
Is there a motion for adjournment? Yes, Mr. Hammond.
Move for adjourn.
Is there a second? Mr. Wolf. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. We are done.